Hey there, I'm Rana. I'm really into stuff like this, and today we're delving into a topic that's really close to my heart. A few years ago was a game changer for me, and hope it can be for you too. To me, it's like the tree hidden in the forest. Something so obvious and in front of us every day that we totally miss it. But then someone pointed out, and boom, there's a light bulb moment that shifts your whole perspective. Quick note, if today's concepts are something that you already figure out on your own, you're 10 steps ahead of me, and I have major respect for you. Also, don't forget that you can use the timestamp below to jump straight into the part that interests you the most. This video is split into two parts, and the first part we talk about the shadow in general, then we'll get into the light shadow and a simple exercise to meet it right away, giving our self-esteem a boost and starting to express all our hidden positive potential. So 3, 2, 1, get started. Part 1, the shadow. Let's play a game. I give you 3 seconds to come up with the definition of shadow without using the concept of light. If you think of something, pause the video and drop into the comments. It would be fun to compare our ideas. For ages, both Western Pythagoreans and Eastern Taoists have talked about the reality as a duality made up of yin and yang. That means that for every element, there is something out there with opposite characteristics that balance it out, like negative and positive, material and spiritual, conscious and unconscious, masculine and feminine energy, and so on. Nowadays, we could also add matter and antimatter to the list. Today, we are focusing on shadow, light, consciousness, and unconscious. The first person to really dive into the concept of shadow in psychology here in the West was Carl Gustav Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist. Now, you really use the old dust language you often find in the 20th century academics. Nope. He was almost as good with one-liners as Oscar Wilde. He wrote and spoke clearly and wasn't afraid to drop some powerful quote. What is not brought to consciousness comes to us as a fate. Or to put it more simply, when an inner situation is not made conscious, it happens outside as fate. That is to say, when the individual remains undivided and does not become conscious of his inner opposite, the world must perform as act out the conflict and be torn into opposing halves. Jung believed that we all carry a shadow within us. It's a part of the starter kit of the being human. Actually, we have two shadows, an individual one and a collective one. And this shadow is the flip side of the conscious mind. It's made up of what we unconsciously label as undesirable, uncomfortable, maybe even painful to confront, socially unacceptable, morally questionable. And the moral compass that defines what's undesirable comes from the society we grew in and the personal value system we've built over the time through our experiences. Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it's embodied in the individual conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. The more we take care of our shadow, the few self-sabotaging choices we make. Why? Because we become more aware of when we are reacting automatically to something that triggers us. Ideally, we should make decisions with the calm mind and gut, but in reality, it's easier said than done, right? The shadow is uncomfortable to face, but remember, it doesn't make us good at bad. In fact, let's address the elephant in the room. Do you really think that everything in the shadow, everything that embarrasses us or make us uncomfortable is gray or negative? We all have so much creativity and positive qualities inside what we suppress. Could it be that we are also ashamed of some of our aspirations, passions, or even the idea of succeeding? Sound familiar? Our automatic protection system doesn't discriminate, good or bad. If something is perceived as too problematic, it tries to shove it under the rug. Who's going to lift the rug anyway? The problem is that a lot of our creativity and there too, energy we really need, no matter the kind of life or work we have. Let's not to kid ourselves. Some of us carry a heavier baggage than others, but the shadow is always a mix of dark and light. And now that we know that the shadow exists, we can take back our power. We can decide what to do. Ignore it, take a peek, or start working on the thing that we really feel ready for. The first step is recognizing that the shadow exists, accepting that it's a part of us, which is different from approving it. Understanding its shape helps us understanding ourselves, who we are. We can start to work on it. The ultimate goal is not to become Superman, but to make choices that fit us for who we really are, and something that can make genuinely us happy and not what the neighbor thinks that we should do. I promise you, working on the shadows makes so much easier to handle everyday problems. The one that knocks us out of balance. If you are still with me, thank you so much. Now that we have covered that, let's get into the heart of this video. Part 2. The light shadow. The discussion could go in two ways. The first one, we could talk about the shadow work in general, what it means to integrate the shadow, and some exercises to do alone or with professionals, but that will make a video super long. Or we can use these few minutes to start working right away with the light shadow. The tree in the forest that we are embarrassed about, or unexpressed potential that is just waiting to shine. So, how do you get to know this light shadow, befriend it, and discover what it has to show you? Today we are trying out two methods. One for those who can imagine or visualize, and the other one for those who have a strong rational mind. No special meditation skill are needed, so don't be scared. But the more you visualize and the better you get. In this exercise you can scratch your nose if it itches. You don't have to worry about losing focus of what is happening. You can change position if you need it. So take it easy, because we are about to discover some beautiful things. Now I'll explain the steps. I'll put them on the screen somewhere here, but this isn't a guided visualization with the proper timing. If you want that, I have it, and you can find it on one of my Instagram reels that I put down in the description. Otherwise, you can simply take notes and experiment on your own. Okay, let's start it. Find a place where you feel comfortable and won't be disturbed for a while. I recommend clearing a space with white sage, sending positive energy to the encounter you're about to have. Please avoid using Palo Santo for this exercise. If you want, you can also light a candle. Just make sure the flame is safe. You can use music too, but it's better if it doesn't have lyrics, so you are not distracted or influenced. Get comfy in a relaxed position that you won't make you fall asleep, eyes open or closed, and breathe. Take 5 breaths through your nose. Each time, inhale for 5 seconds and exhale for 5 seconds, with no pauses in between. This helps refocus on yourself and re-energize for what you're going to do. If you're up to it, with each exhale, you can also imagine dark smoke leaving your nostrils, representing the tension leaving your body. Release the tension from the bottom up, first your feet, then knees, pelvis, back, shoulder, neck, and head. After that, return to your normal breathing. We have to focus on something else. If your eyes are still open, then you can close them now during an exhale. Now, imagine a door or an archway leading to a room, a safe space. Set the intention, I want to meet my light shadow. Today, I meet my light shadow, and walk through it. You can decorate the room however you like, or if you prefer, let your imagination do it automatically and just observe the result. We're almost there. When you enter the room, is your light shadow already there waiting for you? Does it appear after you enter? Have you been waiting a while and needed to invite it to show up again? However it happened, go ready to greet it like an old friend you haven't seen in ages. What do you do in this case? It depends on the person. Maybe you smile, maybe you hug, maybe you hold hands, and always convey affection is important. Observe it and listen to yourself. What form has your light shadow taken? Does it look healthy, malnourished? Is it big or small? Does it take the shape of a person, an animal, or something else that has a particular meaning to you? As you observe, do any emotions or sensation arise in specific areas of your body? And when you send affection, does it respond with the same energy? Does it have anything to tell you or show you? If you feel comfortable, you can try to talk to it, following your instinct and putting aside the feeling of, if I do this, I'm crazy. It's not about going crazy, but about reconnecting with yourself. It's important. When you're ready, say goodbye to your light shadow in a way that feels right. You can return to the room whenever you want and meet with it again. You're never alone. Hey, if visualizing it tough for your light shadow take a scary form, it's completely normal. Here is another method for you. Try it in writing. Take a piece of paper and write down the positive qualities others have noticed in you. If you can, think of any. Jot down what you admire most in your friends and heroes. Be honest and keep it private. Next, can you spot any connection that you can recognize in yourself like part of your light shadow? It's important for starting a reflection about yourself, about being honest and seeing the good qualities in you. And whatever emerges, don't worry if it is too vague or unclear. Just keep the list and check it out again in a week or two. Or maybe we'll try to do this exercise again. The important thing is to be consistent. Take care of yourself and also give your body the time that it needs to process everything calmly. since mind and body are not as separated as we would like to. Once you have discovered and caught a glimpse of your light shadow, there are tons of ways to get it working for you. Self-esteem exercises, working with affirmations, creating vision boards, among other things. In the end, remember this: you have nothing to lose and so much to gain working with your light shadow. Thank you so much for staying with me today. If you found this video helpful, please like it and subscribe to the channel for more content on spirituality, Japan, and holistic well-being. Feel free to share your experiences with these exercises in the comment section below, because I am always curious about other stories. And if you are on Instagram, come there and say hi too. Hope to see you soon again. Bye! Ciao!